education.
Oh my God, it looks so good here. I can't wait to shop.
Yes,
Yes. Okay. How are you, friend?
I'm doing great.
Good. This is my pre-K teacher, Miss Jasmine.
Hey, Miss Jasmine.
How are you?
All aboard.
All right, all aboard the education station. Your host here, Miss LaShawn Carter. Choo choo! I am so excited. I am back, y'all. I know y'all be like, where's she been at? I am back. I am so excited to be back, back in the groove of doing podcasts, talking about one thing that I love. Of course, everybody know I love my passion for childcare. So I am getting ready to bring on my special guest, which you already see us. Say hey, guest. Say hey, girl. Hey. So we're getting ready to come right back with you guys with the podcast and business management skills, just life coaching, just talking to you about the life of an entrepreneur coming up really soon. Because I was just telling her back behind the scenes, I was like, I'm a busy entrepreneur. Lord Jesus, I'm busy. But one thing I love doing is giving you education, valuable education that'll help you, encourage you, especially my parents out there, my grandparents, and my business owners. Hey, y'all. Hey. So real quickly, we're going to introduce Miss I can't even say her name that fast. Kristin. And I want to talk to you guys because this is very special. Like when she said this, I was like, wait a minute. We was just talking about this in the childcare industry about a behavior specialist and somebody that can come in to coach our team, our staff, and also our parents about the behavior, just the behaviors in certain children. Because some of us, we have it in our program, but we can't diagnose them. We don't know what to look for. Some of my teachers are kind of behind and like, I don't know what's going on with this child. So we have somebody in our very own that can basically help us. And she's going to answer some of your questions that you probably been like, oh my God, how can I deal with this in my classroom? We thinking the classroom management skills is off, or what can I do? Not only that, she also has a expertise in special education, right? As well. So my educators that's out there that's teaching K through 5th and 6th through 12th and all the above, come on in. Come on into the room. Yes, we're talking to you today. We're giving you some help, some tips on early education in the business world and coaching you and getting your day started correctly tomorrow morning. Like you can go in tomorrow and use the tools that she's about to tell you. Okay, y'all ready? Get ready to ride this train all aboard the education station. Go ahead and let them know a little bit more about you.
Sure. So my name's Kristin Carmi. I started off in the field a million years ago, it seems, in Maryland. And I started actually as a teacher at Montgomery College, teaching young adults with disabilities how to be social. So we did social skills training. It was a riot. As you can imagine, the craziest stuff would come up in that classroom, but we would just ride that train. But it was a great experience because it gave me exposure to all kinds of diagnoses, all kinds of dynamics within that classroom. But anyway, ultimately, I fell in love just with the science of behavior. And to your point, like trying to figure out what motivates kids to do what they do, the good, the bad, the ugly. We don't blame the child. We blame maybe the history of learning. Maybe they just weren't taught, how to engage properly, or they just didn't have the skills. And it's our job to give them those skills. So, that's what I did for decades and I'm currently in Los Angeles. But then I met my now husband, and he had a son, and he had autism. Well, he still does. And he was not getting the services that he needed at all. So I just started advocating just out of necessity for him and kind of fell in love with the process. So now I try to merge both of those skills, the behavior analysis, along with the special education advocacy for students who are in school and also receiving services from what we call the regional center here in Los Angeles, well, in the state of California.
Okay, I love how you said the analysis. Like so you have a whole workbook, a worksheet that can basically help you tell what's going on with that child. Like you can do check marks and be able to teach us like a little bit more.
I mean, a whole bunch of, went to school for another couple years after getting my master's just to learn how to use these indirect measures, the assessment scales, and then go into the setting to do direct observation and somehow make sense of both of those things. I mean, if you boil it down in a really simple way, but to really come up with the why behind
Hmm.
a kid's behavior. Why is this kid doing this? And how can we teach them to accomplish the same goal, but in a more appropriate way?
I love that. I love that because it's a lot of, like I said, with me, I can only speak for myself and being transparent. Like I have a lot of kids that come to me to my center, and it's like, I know if I see it, I know the parents see it, I know the doctors see it. Why is no one helping this parent? Like, why is no one actually saying, hey, we can really help your child, with this or speech? Like we see a lot of speech therapy need to be happening before before the age of 3, and then we wondering why they're so angry. It's because they can't get their words out.
It's so frustrating. Yeah. And the speech and the communication, I mean, behavior is communication. That's all it is. It's just you don't have the words. You're going to get it out one way or another. You're going to grab the thing that you want, or you're going to scream at the top of your lungs, or you're going to leave. Right. So, but yeah, I agree with you. And to answer your question, for all of those poor parents out there, they don't know what they don't know. And a lot, especially if you're like a first time parent and maybe you didn't grow up around a lot of kids. Maybe you didn't have siblings. So you don't know what typical development looks like. I feel really bad for those families because they don't know what their rights are and what to ask for to even start the process.
So what in my field as a child care professional, what is some of the things that you think that you can help us? Well, we're not playing as we the doctors or anything that can help us when we do face these challenges where we know it's something needs we can't really service that child, but we don't want to turn that child away because we know it's no one else gonna take care of that child the way we do. What is some tips that you can kind of get the educators to look for as far as in their enrollment packet or when they're doing the tours? What are some things that they can kind of look for as far as when it comes to looking for those behavior traits?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely checklists that some pediatricians use just in terms of like, where is your child developmentally, and that is going to raise a red flag potentially for getting more testing done. And you're right. I mean, that's from a medical professional. I can't even diagnose, but I know what I'm looking for, and I know how to support. But it's hard to have those conversations with parents. I mean, it's awkward to be like, you might want to get your child checked out. Like, you can't really be that straightforward, though maybe with some parents you can, get them there. But ultimately it falls on the responsibility of the school at age 3 and beyond to identify those kids. And I'm talking unhoused kids in the foster system, kids who aren't necessarily showing up to the public preschool, right? Those kids still need to be identified. And so I always urge parents, hey, I notice your child is struggling with finding the words. The school district is obligated to assess your child for free after age 3 and up. And so that is a sort of a non-invasive way, I think, to get parents to start thinking about it and getting the school district to do their job. Now, if you want to go the medical diagnosis route, it's a little bit trickier, I think, because it's a sensitive topic. And I'm not sure what resources exist out there in other states. I'm just familiar with California, but the regional center system here will also help identify, diagnose, and give supports to kids under age 3.
Oh, that's great information. I'm sitting here like, okay, because I know for a fact that a lot of our enrollment that we haven't, like two of our locations have closed down here that help with the kids with the speech development, the behavior specialists, that they closed their daycare down. They officially closed it down. Come September 29th will be their last day of operating. And they was a huge impact in this community. So it's like now parents are like, what am I supposed to do far as we was with this was my son's teacher or my daughter's teacher, and they knew what my behavior analysis was. They knew how to care for my child versus I gotta put them. I feel like this is my way of saying it. I feel like they just close the daycare down and they gonna put them in a wood somewhere, and they just gonna be stranded because it's a lot of centers that's just not educated on being a behavior specialist. And true enough, we need more people like yourself to come out to these daycares and really help us, directors and staff, to just have that, hey, okay, it's okay. This is some methods that you can use to calm the kid down, talk to them softly, just different things, because it's like we're not used to they culture shock, we're culture shock. We sitting there like, oh my God, what is this child doing? And they looking at us like, what are you not doing?
Right. Exactly. I know that not everybody's going to do this out of the kindness of their hearts. I mean, I think we have a real obligation to give back to our community and find ways that we can contribute, and do pro bono work or have presentations or trainings for free because, you want to share the message. It's the simple things that make the biggest difference sometimes. And that message, I mean, let's face it, like disability or not, nobody's training parents what to do. I mean, I came home with this baby and was like, I'm going to do my best.
I'm still trying to figure out the speed and schedule for my children, especially my 17-year-old. I'm like, okay, when school was in, you wasn't eating that much. Now that it's out, it's like, my refrigerator won't stay closed. Like, what is going on?
I need your 17-year-old to talk to my 11-year-old, please. He needs to grow. But there might be some like applied behavior analysis, some ABA agencies or something in your neighborhood, or even it could be done virtually, but like people who are willing to give back and do these trainings. I mean, an hour-long training to answer questions is not that much to ask for, but so much of it's just building relationships. What resources do you have to share with us? Because we need help. I would do intake or in services rather for preschools, and they always seemed really happy to have that information. So felt good.
And I think that's the thing with again with educators. If we have the pamphlets and we have the material that we're not isolating one family, we sending it out to everybody to making them aware of this could be your child. I remember they sent the pamphlet home for like vision. This could be your child. Your child could be facing, like, they probably need glasses. This is why that child is not doing as well in school or not reading on a proper reading level, is because the child probably the vision is missed. So let's do a vision test. You had the option to where you could go have your child tested to get their vision or tested for this and that. And so I feel like if we get more people like yourself and you build your platform and you talking to more and making more people aware of what's going on, because I'm thinking it's the food at this point. I'm like, is it the food? What is going on? Like for seriously, because I'm like, why are we getting so many kids that we seeing autism, we seeing this, they diagnosing them with so much, and it's like, what is going on? How is this happening?
COVID didn't help, right? No, because all of those little guys weren't going to daycare and they weren't able to get that peer imitation, which is such a critical skill in development.
I talk about that right there. I ain't mean to cut you off, because we got a lot of parents that be fearful of doing like childcare and everything else. And you just said a key point. Like when you shelter them kids in with nobody else, no other kids, and you wondering why your kids' language develop is not strong or their building their relationship is not strong, is because they not around other kids of their age.
Exactly. They're not learning not just how to imitate different forms of play. If I'm just playing by myself, I might just play kitchen every single day. That's my favorite thing to do. I just play kitchen. But then I notice in daycare, well, they're playing doctor and with their dolls. And then you got, these people over here who building a train. And, then you're curious and you start to learn more language. And you start to also get practice with being flexible and learning those early conflict resolution skills, not that they're great at that age, but you're learning them.
I was the toddler teacher for 6 months, and I tell you what, I tell people all the time, I thank God for my toddler teachers right now. I thank God for them
Yeah.
because you learn a lot of just that toddler age. You learn so much about the different personalities, and you can tell the ones that have siblings at home and the ones that just this the only child because they like mine.
Okay. I was the only child. I was the only child who just wanted to talk to adults all the time, right?
And then you got those 1-year-olds. And I actually had a pre-K student that was like that, and my pre-K teachers was like, "What is going on?" And one of my pre-K teachers like, he just like having adult conversations because that's all he seen was adults. He never seen any kids. It wasn't that he was a behavior problem, and they was diagnosing him. Someone said, "Oh, he need to go see a behavior specialist." I'm like, but I'm in the classroom, me and him talking. I'm about the same height as him. I'm 4'8". He's right here, and I'm talking to him. He's thinking we just the bestest buds. And I'm just like, I don't understand. Why are you showing out today? What is going on? And he was like, I just want to be heard. I just want somebody to listen to me. And I'm like, okay, well, go ahead and tell me what's going on. So it's just like us as adults. We go to therapy to do what? Vent, to get it off our chest and everything else. These kids do the same thing sometimes. They just need to vent and move on. He'll be forgot about it, moved on. And then he'll go back. Something that triggered him.
Yeah.
It's a trigger. And I said, maybe it's something triggering him. The reason why he keep behaving the way he do is something that's triggering him. And I was trying to talk to mom, but it went shoo. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay in my lane as a child care professional, and I'm going to let the behavior specialists do their job.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I mean, the parents are way harder than the kids for sure, right? Because they're going to be more defensive and they're stuck in their ways. And so sometimes, kids are resilient and they pick up things really quickly. So sometimes, you can run a tight ship and they'll actually be better behaved, in the school environment, the daycare setting, because you have all of these ways to expose them to other kids, to teach them lessons in real time, to reinforce good behaviors, and all of that. And then they'll go home and be little hellions at home.
Right.
That's okay. They learn, it's not great for the kid, but they'll learn how to change their behavior based on the settings, expectations. So there's still hope.
Yeah. And I was telling someone, I said, there's no way somebody can go 8 hours, because the school system here is about 7 or 8 hours they go to school. I feel like it would be about 7 or 8 hours of school or whatever. And you do just fine with the school teachers and everything else, but then you come home and you just a total wreck. It's something that triggers that person off to where you can sit in a school setting and be just fine. But then you go home and it's triggers. And I say that word because people don't understand. It's triggers for me. Like, we're adults. If the dish is not washed, that's a trigger. If the clothes not folded, that's a trigger. You have to really figure out, like, even with the special education and the behavior specialists, we got to figure out, like, what triggers a lot of this stuff to where the parent is in denial. I'm gonna say it. It's my platform. I can say in denial of, hey, my child needs some special attention. I need to reach out to a behavior specialist.
Yeah, definitely. There was something that you had said earlier. I was going to say, you were asking what things to include in your packet, in addition to kind of like, are there any behavior concerns you have, so I can watch out for them. But what is like, how does your child communicate the best? Like, do they like to be offered choices, or do they take you by the arm and take you to what they want? Or do they have lots of language, or are they using sign language? Like my kid used sign language for the first year of his life. Right. And then also what would be really good is to do a preference assessment. So like a reinforcer assessment. What are all of the things that your kids love? Because then you can have maybe a little box of really cherished items or something for each of the kids. I don't know how big your daycare is. This might be a pipe dream, but a little box of extra special things that if you got to pull out the big guns, then you have them. You're working on toileting or something at daycare. That's not really that fun. And you're
Right,
like,
right.
okay, we're going to sit here on the potty for 5 minutes and we're not going to scream. And then you're going to get your whatever.
Your favorite stuffed animal. But I love I wrote them ideas down. I don't know about y'all. I write them down because I'm like I said, I don't want to have it to where these parents that's finna get ready and lose their daycare center, their services that they've been with for so long, and they sitting there, they just picking anybody that got a center open at this moment. They got a spot. Because that's what the parent told me yesterday. She was like, at this moment, I'm just trying to find a spot. And I was like, no, 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 no. I said, well, tell me a little bit about your child. Tell me what can we look for? What can we be doing? Like let me prepare myself. It's like the baby arrival. I don't know if anybody else had a baby shower and you could preparing yourself for the baby. And so my whole thing was I told the lady, I said, you don't get on the phone with a provider and say, I just looking for a spot. Because you don't want that provider to abuse that child. You want that child to be somewhere where it's loved, the environment is safe and it's secure. And I told her, I said, I want to know what is the behaviors. Like, what are we looking for? She was like, really and truly, if you give him his binky, he's fine. So I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm like, it couldn't be. So my assistant was like, no, somewhere on our sign it says behavior health unit somewhere. Because every time we get some of the kids in, and I'm like, so your mama didn't know you don't talk? You're 3, you ain't saying any words. Like,
yeah.
Like right now, I have a little girl that does sign language, and I love it because guess what it did? It stepped me up in my. I used to do sign language. I did. I used to learn all of them, learn the letters and how to spell out and do all this. And I was like, you know what? We're going to start back learning sign language. We're going to incorporate that into our curriculum because I got to get on. She just looked. I looked at me and she was like, I was like, what is she doing?
He's hungry.
And then she was like, and I was like, who's she pointing at? Like, and then I'm like,
what is that? I don't know that one.
I'm up here I'm Googling. We all in the daycare Googling at this point. And one of the teachers was like, y'all, she's sign language in us. And I was like, oh my God. Well, I've been in education for my whole life. How did I not notice that this baby is using sign language? So somebody has been teaching her more, eat, drink. Like somebody's been teaching her this, but she don't talk. This baby she's now been with us 3 weeks, and I've been working with her in the afternoon times, singing her ABCs and counting. Yesterday, she was counting with me. She counted all the way to 10. So sometimes it's just the way the environment is, and I preached about this. Your environment. It's the way your environment is. And if you got a chaotic environment, that kid is going to do what?
Retreat.
Hold yourself up.
Yep. Absolutely.
This afternoon, guess what she said to me as she was leaving? Bye.
That's awesome.
You fooled me.
That's amazing. You said something about that woman just calling and like, well, you'll do because you're open. And it just makes me think it's like it's so important for us to have a relationship with the people who are taking care of our kids. I mean, my daycare person was incredible. And do you know what? My child, who is now 11, was playing soccer the other day, and we realized that there was a person from his daycare that he hadn't seen in 9 years. Those kids picked up right where they left off. And we both called the daycare person and was like, can you believe it? We just saw Isaiah on the soccer pitch. And it was just like this little reunion. Like, you got to have a relationship with your people. You got to have a relationship with your teacher. You got to care enough. It's just going to help the kid.
So I've been all off the topic of my card notes that they told me, but I love this conversation so much. I do. I really do. I love this because again, this is a topic that really does not get discussed a lot in our community.
Yeah.
It kind of get brushed to the side, and we're gonna deal with it another day. We don't. This is like childcare. Daycare providers is always swept underneath the rug, like, hey, they just another babysitting service, when we're actually the child's first educators. We're their teacher, just like their mother. Their mother really is the first teacher.
Yeah.
We come in as the second teacher, but most of us, we are that primary teacher. We don't talk them the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, yes ma'am, no ma'am, please, thank you, everything above, and then we can ship them on off to elementary school. So
Yeah.
when they get to you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you in there doing your fabulous career, you like, okay, what do y'all ever ask? And you are in the elementary, you go to the schools.
All
Right.
the way up to age 22 for kids who are on an alternative curriculum. So, yeah. So really to either, obtaining your diploma or certificate of completion, depending on your pathway.
Okay, so does the conversation ever come up to where it's like, well, what preschool did they go to, or what daycare did they attend? Do you ever ask that question?
Yeah, sometimes because again, to your point, the kids who stay at home with a nanny, they're not as social, or like the nanny who's always on their phone, right? You see them in the park. Yeah, you see them. They're not really paying attention. They're not really teaching. So I do see the difference in kids who do go to a daycare and like there are daycares, to your point, who are almost like preschools. They really they even do circle times. They're even doing, other little lessons and stuff.
Well, I
So
love circle time.
yeah.
I'm the loudest one in the building when it comes to circle time. They like, oh gosh, she's doing circle time. I love circle time. I'm just an advocate for circle time. I feel like that's the most important. Being hype early in the morning, it sets your day, it sets your tone, especially when I do deal with some of the behavior challenges that we have been facing. If I beat the drum, I get some of my kids' attention. I now incorporate the clappers. I don't know if y'all remember the hand clappers. So I have the little hand clappers, and I say, yep, they clap. I say, clap one time you can hear it, boom, boom. Clap 2 times you can hear it, boom, boom. They say, okay, clap 3 times you can hear me. And I'll be like, I'm not going to 3, I'm just going to 2. But they be so engaged, and that's my whole biggest thing. I live off the energy of my kids. If I ever have a bad day, and I even notice this in a lot of my kids that do have the behavior issues or challenges, they'll come up to me and just give me the biggest hug out of nowhere. They just give me the biggest hug, and I was like, "Oh, I needed that." They was like, "I know." Like they look at me like, "I know."
I'm here for you. That is so incredible.
But so you've been doing this. You've been doing this how long?
Okay, so for the advocacy part, I only started doing that in 2019. So just 4 years. Was it 19 or 18? Sometimes I forget. I think it was 19. So yeah, that's just been going on for 4 years, but I feel like I've been doing it forever. I mean, there is so much to learn. There is so much to do. There are so many people out there who I am energized by because they bring different expertise. Mine's mostly autism and mostly behavior, but theirs is maybe dyslexia, other specific learning disabilities. So, it's really cool finding your community and learning from your peers. I mean, collaboration is number 1 in my book. I love it.
That's one of my biggest things is collaborating. That's why I was trying to talk to the teachers and the directors at the other schools that is closing down. Like, how can we make this to where it doesn't shut down? Because this is like a big pillar in the community, and we know more kids going to need this, and we don't want to put them somewhere where they're not being serviced.
Yes.
Or just take on their educators and see how we can strengthen us that's inside this field right now that we need to basically get the training.
Yeah.
This is teaching us that we need to get this training as well, because a lot of the centers that we have is shutting down.
Yeah. I think it's so important. It's so important to lift each other up. There's too much work out there. What am I going to be competitive with? No, we're not going to be competitive. We're going to help each other out. We're going to, ask questions and find answers and help each other. And there shouldn't ever be any bad blood in that.
Right. And one thing about me, I'm out, like you said, collaborating. I collaborate with other child care owners. I'm like, hey, you got some room? Hey, do you have a teacher that probably is great in behavior specialist? Because I don't have none over here, but I'm reaching out because it's 100. I think now we at 178 families that's going to be displaced. So we need to make sure that they get placed somewhere well, like they keeping up the behavior specialist unit, but they just going to shut the daycare portion down. So we just want to make sure that they're having that, and not only just their centers, but all of our centers, all of our kids that do go to, a behavior specialist or go see somebody that gets treatments and everything else. It's important that we know what the treatments are, because I didn't know what the baby treatments was. Like I told you, he had a conversation with me, and I'm like, all he wanted to do was be heard. So why is he going to a behavior specialist? And it's deeper. See, I don't have that skill that you have, that you can say, no, Miss Carter, it's a little bit deeper than that, sweetheart. He might be having that conversation with you, but in 2.5 seconds, he's gonna go down the hill somewhere. So, I say that because what do you feel like they did ask this, what do you feel like is some challenges that in the early child care that we're not really looking at, really, like the challenges that you see that we need to really be diving into, besides us getting more knowledge on the behavior health? What is it that you think we also need to work on and strengthening?
I mean, I think a lot of it's like changing our gut reaction to bad behavior, because when you see a child misbehaving, we want to step in and be very directive and no, you're going to sit down and you're going to listen, or you're going to do this and that, or you're going to share, or you're going to eat, or whatever. And I mean, you basically just said exactly what you needed to do for that child, was to just listen to him. And sometimes we just need, and that's hard. I mean, as we get older, the generations are changing. The way we were parented is not the way that we are parenting. It's just not. And the kids are different than we were. I mean,
Really?
my dad would just look at me the wrong way and I'd have tears coming down my face, right? Because it was
Waterworks.
scary. So it's just not like that anymore. So we have to remind ourselves that it's a different generation, that they are trying to communicate, that we take a beat and really observe what the child is trying to do. And to your point, we validate their feelings. Like, you're really mad right now. You are so mad, and you can tell me why when you calm down, or it's okay to be mad, but also we need to make good choices, or whatever the situation is. So yeah, but that requires us to like retrain our own behavior.
Right. Because sometimes I have to catch myself. Like I said, when the child started, the little girl, when she started, I was like, wait a minute. Is this the same child that enrolled, that did the tour? This was the same child. Wait a minute. And right then I had to readjust myself, because but just because I'm not used to, my kids don't act that same way, or my biological kids, like they not acting like that, they not doing it. So I'm not used to that, but that don't mean that I can't train myself on what to look for, how to react to certain things. And that's what you got to be coachable.
Yeah, that's
Thank you,
a great
for that.
word.
Coachable. You got to be coachable. Like, if you in this industry of childcare, I don't care if you're the director, the supervisor, you also got to be the expert as well. Because parents rely on you. They say you the expert. That's the reason why they bringing their kids to you, because they think you the expert.
Yeah. Well, my reaction always is, I might be the expert on behavior analysis, but you're the expert on your kid. So we have to work on this together. I'm not going to tell you what to do, unless we get to that together. Because also there are other factors. I grew up in a house that's probably different from the house you grew up in. There are cultural factors, there are spiritual factors, there are all kinds of things that we have to consider within each family, and what is important to them. I mean, I let my kids look at, screens. Does that make me a bad parent? Some kids don't do that, right? So we just have to be communicating. You're the expert on your child.
Right. I learned that a long time ago with my own kids, like some video games. My son wasn't bothering me playing the video games, but it bothered some of my family members. All they do is play video games. They don't go outside. Let me tell you something. They go outside, it's gun violence outside. I feel like he's safe in the house. At least I know where he at. You raised your kids already. Let me raise this one, and it didn't change his behavior, at all. Like some people be like, oh, that's just gonna ruin his behavior. No, no. He's smart, very educated. Both of my kids are very
He has
educated.
amazing
You
dexterity.
very amazing. Sometimes I be very social because at first he wasn't social, like he didn't talk to people outside of his home. But you'll go past this room, you like he sound like he got a whole video game console going, like a whole concert going on. I'm like, who you in there talking to? But it's just a different environments. Again, I'm gonna bring it back to the environment.
Yeah.
It's how your tone is towards your kids in that environment, how you plan out your day. If you know that you have a child that has some type of behavior specialty in that classroom, make a plan, formulate a plan, then stick with that plan, get a routine.
Yeah.
I was talking about that today. I was like, I have a routine to things. I know Tuesday is Tuesday bill day. Like y'all can call me crazy or whatever you want to. It's just I'm used to a certain routine, and if I break that routine, it's like it's hard. It's hard. Like even on the weekends. Let me ask you this: do you have an alarm set during the week when you get up?
During the week, yes.
Now on Saturday, do your body still get up at that alarm time?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Because it's set on a routine. So think about it with these kids that have the behaviors. They used to a routine. They mama drop them off at this time. They mama go here, and it takes them a little while. It took you probably a good 2 months, probably a good 2 weeks to really your body be like. So now we getting up at 4:30 now. So we really gonna do this? Well, that's my body. It's just me. It's just me. Oh my God, it's just me. So we really gonna do this today? So I get up early, and so my husband be like, even on the weekends, like just take one moment where you don't get up. If I don't get up early, I feel like my day is not gonna go the way I want it to go.
Yeah.
But that's a routine. That's not me having a behavior challenge. That's just me setting a routine, setting the way. And that's the same way I'm trying to get providers to understand. If your staff coming out with a routine, it'll make that classroom sound so peaceful.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of kids that, I'm working on their IEPs, I go and do an observation in the classroom. And this isn't the only kid who's misbehaving. This classroom is out of control because there is no structure. And the thing is like, you can't ever ask for a specific teacher. You can, but they'll say, well, we can't promise you that teacher. Fair enough. That could get like pretty crazy pretty quickly. But you can say for your child, my child needs structure. My child needs predictability. He needs clear expectations. He doesn't do well with transitions, so all of these things about your child, then you find the educator who is a good fit for your child.
Right. And I love how you said structure. You said that real hard, like structure. The lesson have no structure. And that what tends to happen. Like I'm predominantly trying to put my business together where my center is helping with like the college students that's going for this field, early education. They trying to come to the elementaries, the middle schools. They really want to get their hands wet, and they start in childcare. So let me go back. I am really looking for those that are in the early educational college field right now. Mm-hmm. And they like, hey, I really want to go to first grade, second grade, because you're going to see these same children that's in these daycares. You're going to see them again.
Yeah.
In your classroom. So why not work at a daycare while you're getting your degree, while you're getting your master's or whatever you're getting? Why not get your hands? So that way you can already detect, oh, I know I'm going to have an issue with how to calm my class down, how to properly do a lesson plan, how to properly classroom management. You got some people that have been text brainwashed. What I mean by that is you go by the textbooks all day long.
Oh, yeah.
Your classroom is out of control. And then you want to call Miss Kirsten to come. Hey, I need a behavior analysis. No, baby, you don't. I'm gonna do one on you.
That is so funny. So I teach at CSUN here at Northridge, the practicum class, and like for the behavior analysts in training. And, they come into the class all like, I know this, this, and this, and it's all textbook, like you said. And then they get into a real life situation. That's the practicum. And they are deer in headlights. They don't know what's going on. And I said, you know what? You take all of those stupid index cards, you throw them out in the trash, and you trust that you know enough. And then you pay attention to your environment and make adjustments accordingly. You're not gonna know how to work with a kid just because you've memorized a definition. So I always tell them, if you know the rules, you can break them. If you have good reason, that's what makes you a good practitioner.
Tell them again. And then you get so farther. We didn't even stop for no commercial break. We just went dive on in for the whole 45 minutes. I said, oh girl, I'm gonna have to take it. But I really don't want y'all to miss anything, because I know when I take commercial breaks, baby, I'm going to go wash dishes, come back, and everything else. But I really want y'all to hear what we're telling you, because there's a lot of educators out there right now that's like, I don't know what to do with my classroom. I don't know where to start. Like, I got so many of these 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, or even middle schools and high schools. I had a high school lady a teacher was just like, girl, I heard you do classroom management. You come, girl, I do high school now. I don't do that. I do childcare, but But I helped. I gave her a few advice. I said, change your room around. I said, tone down the lights. Like, I said, take all that color out of there. Just make it kind of basic a little bit. Like, make it a warm environment, like somewhere where it's comfortable. And she was like, well, girl, that's going to take a lot of money. Well, you got to invest in something to make your environment more comfortable. So that way you don't go home with a headache every single day.
Right.
That's what she said. She said she's stressed out. She really just don't know what to do. And she don't want to give up on her career. But again, it's like the directors and the principals are not really helping them to give them any advice, because they don't know themselves.
Oh, that is so frustrating. I mean, there's plenty of professional development that can be, utilized.
Professional development.
Yeah.
So when we take these teacher professional development training days and we are off, are we really doing professional development training?
I don't know.
That's a whole different episode right there.
I agree.
Tell them how you can be found if they need to reach out to you, if you do consulting, if you really help with other things. Let them know how you can be found.
Sure. So my company is called South Bay Child Advocates. So my website is southbaychildadvocates.com. You can also look up my name, Kristin Carmi, and I'll probably come up. But yeah, we do assist with behavior analytic questions and trainings, and then also advocacy in the state of California. There's a lot of really amazing trainings out there, though, for people who want to, try to get started on their own. I mean, there's tons of Google. You just Google.
Just right. You sound like one of my old teachers. She's like, I just Google some things. I just Google it.
Go on YouTube.
She's like, I just Google it, Miss Sean. I'd be like, okay, go ahead, baby. Google away. As long as it's helping you, it's helping me. Let's go. So I have had
forever, though. This has been fun.
I know, and that's why I said we definitely gonna have you back on to talk more to. We're gonna have you back on live, because we do the recordings and then we see how everything goes. But we're gonna make sure that we have you on live where more people can come in, talk to you, and say, hey, I need help. I know. Okay, hold on, wait a minute. What? No, go back to it one more time, because she told us one thing I wanted y'all to walk away with, or at least walk away with. It's knowing the kids' communication language. You know how we got to know our love language?
Yes.
Know them kids' communication language. Some kids like to communicate by touch. Some of them, they just want you to look at them. Like, I had one child, she just want me to look at her. I look at her, or just by just being a knowledge. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. How you doing? You know how I feel if nobody spoke to you that morning. You like, oh, she got an attitude or something wrong with her. You thinking something wrong with that. And she probably didn't even know that you was in the building. She probably didn't know what was going on. So learn that child's communication language before you go and diagnose somebody's child, or you saying, oh, something is wrong with him. He got a behavior issue. It might not be that. He probably just need a hug.
Yeah. Or maybe they're just really shy and overwhelmed and they need a beat. They just need a moment to figure it out. They want to observe.
And that's it. Some kids, when they start in our program, and I know they probably like, oh, that director is a bit much. Oh my God, she is always like, when do she come down? But I try to make it so much fun because I'm a big kid at heart. Like, I come on here, all aboard. I do this at my daycare center. I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? Good morning. They like, great morning. Hey, Miss Carter. I'm like, hey, if I walk in there and I don't beat myself, they all looking at me like, what is wrong with her? Hey, Miss Carter, can I get a hug? Can I? They if I'm on, I try my best not to be on my phone when I walk in the morning times. If I'm walking back into my childcare center, because that first impression when they see my face, they waiting on me to like they match to have them a successful day. I also do affirmations with my kids. I had them close their eyes and they just pretend like they on a beach somewhere. Sometimes I'd be like, pretend you in your favorite place. If it's at home, playing video games, whatever you want to do. And I say this after me. I am. And they say, I am brave. I am. And I just had them do that because I do that for myself in the morning time to prep myself to get up at 4:30 in the morning. She's still like, oh my goodness. to really get myself going. And that's why I said routines are important. Mm-hmm. And reaching out to your resources. She gave you her contact information. She said, hey, reach out to me. You can find me. You got a Facebook page, right, for your group? Do you have a Facebook page?
I don't have a Facebook page. I just have a website. I have a LinkedIn and a website. That's it.
Hey, you can still reach out to her, find her LinkedIn, find her website. If you got additional questions, look, we got to get out of that I'm fearful zone and get over here in faith zone and believe and trust in God that He's sending you the resources to help you figure out what is really going on with my child, what is really going on with my family member. Even if it's you pass this on to another family member, like us, share, subscribe to us, so that way we know, hey, you have help, we have help. Mm-hmm. Bless another household to give them the proven results that, hey, it's possible that, hey, you just need a hug. He just might need a hug. Also, she left with one thing that I'm going to do in my daycare center, that we're getting ready for our open house. We call it the house party. I'm extra. I'm calling the big house party where you bring a friend and you bring a friend with kids. When you go to a house party, you always bring a friend.
Yeah.
This time you can bring a friend with a kid. So I'm going to have all my parents bring a special token from their child and put it inside of a bag. So that way they can start when they feeling just not their best. I had that today. I had a day where I was just not my best. And all I did was go play my favorite gospel song. Won't he do it? I was like, oh yes, he will. And I got the bouncing and my spirit got back lifted. Find something that your kid just really adores. Just really like, when I see this object, it brings me joy. It brings me comfort. Find it. So one thing that you have, not one thing, two things that I'm going to walk away with that I'm going to take back to my center and teach my staff members and work on myself with my communication level, even with my staff, because we can say sometimes with our staff, things come off the way that you don't really mean it. Yeah. And you're like, hey, I'm sorry, my communication was not there. Your environment, these kids pick up off your energy and your environment. So if you talking to your staff in a different tone, them kids gonna look at it like, that's how we supposed to talk. Let me scream and yell too. So yeah, I learned a lot from you today in this segment, and I promise you, this ain't gonna be the last segment, because I'm excited. We're gonna have some more women in childcare that's gonna come on. That's gonna be like, hey, help my program. Please, because at this point, I'm like, when before she got on, I said, now wait a minute, they ain't give me everything. And I wear glasses, y'all, but it make a glare on this screen. So I'm like, what all did they say on here? I'm trying to look at it without squinting. And when she said behavior specialist, I dropped the paper. I said, wait, are you coming down here to Chattanooga?
How far is it from Nashville?
It's only really, I mean, I got a heavy foot, so it's about an hour and a half drive for me.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's my brother lives in Nashville. And I got a couple of other family members live in Nashville, so it don't take us that long to get back and forth. But if you ever in Chattanooga, please stop by and see us over there at Tiny Tigers Learning Center and the education station. And like I said, this won't be our last segment episode. We definitely gonna come back with a part 2 of this episode and make sure that we get y'all more in depth and more education on. We didn't even get to touch on the special educational piece of it that I really wanted her to talk about, because that's what my brother is. That's what he has his degree in, and that's what he teaches also in special education in Nashville. So shout out to my brother. He does a fabulous job over there, and I know that's not an easy job. So I know it comes with, you got to really have the passion in the heart to do what you love. And you have the passion in the heart to do what you love, and I appreciate you.
You too.
Well, do you have any last thing to give our audience before we close out?
No, I just thanks a lot for having me. I'm excited to do this again, and we'll definitely do a deeper dive next time.
Yes. Sometimes I can go on and on, you guys, and my back office team be like, "Hey, we gotta cut it some days," and I'll be like, when I'm passionate about something, I want to talk about it. So we're gonna start doing Talk With Me Saturdays live, where I just come on in here to our platform and you can just join us. And if you see us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, on the Education Station, on YouTube. This video will be shown on our YouTube and our Education Station Facebook page. Go in there, like and subscribe. I think we're coming this Saturday just talking more about classroom management tips. I'm gonna give y'all some classroom management tips coming up in September, just to help you guys on classroom management, so that way we can stop saying I don't know what to do. And for those that's giving up, that's like, childcare is just not for me anymore. I just don't feel like it's for me anymore. All because we had that one bad day. So we're gonna talk more about it. We definitely gonna have her back on here to talk to y'all more about the behavior specialists and the special educational programs that you can probably offer in your program. Oh, we didn't even get on that you can probably start offering some special educational programs in there to start making your daycare, your business different. I bet y'all want to know about that, don't you? Mm-hmm. How can I learn more? So I thank you guys again for tuning in to the All Aboard the Education Station, where we come to you every other week with something something to get you motivated, something to give you some business tips and some advice and some encouraging words for you all. I thank you so very much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I see you soon. Bye.